I'm here in the studio with Steve Hart, who was elected this month as the Kerrs Creek representative to the Rockbridge County Board of Supervisors. He is a farmer and retired U.S. Army officer, and this will be his first term as supervisor. Mr. Hart, thank you for being here, and congratulations.
Well, thank you.
What does this win mean to you?
I get that funny question. I'm not a very excitable person. I got elected, Mr. Brown didn't, or it could have been the other way around, and so it's time to get to work, and that's about it.
You primarily ran your campaign centered around decreasing the county's $87 million debt. But last week, the board voted to continue plans to build a community recreation center, putting the county debt further and larger. What is your response to that?
Well, it's not final yet.
Yeah.
And what happened a couple of days after that is we went and we talked to the school board and we got their I'm missing the word. It's how much money they want to spend on the building, CIP. I just can't remember what that stands for right now. But they're looking at spending $35 million 2 years from now, another $7 million 2 years after that. So when you look at all of that, it's like, okay, how do we spend 14 plus 35 plus $7 million when the county's already maxed out on our debt load? It's like, we can't. We're going to have to make a decision as to which of those things or which not of those things that we need to do.
So how do you plan to lower the county's debt with the rec center in the mix or not?
Well, can we talk about why first?
Sure.
Very honestly, here's the problem with long-term debt, with a continuous cycle of long-term debt. Let's say you went down to the grocery store and you bought 10 pounds of hamburger. Pretty easy, right? Well, if you're doing this as a debt model, 40% of what we pay on our debt is interest. It's like going down to the store, buying 10 pounds of hamburger, walking out the door and throwing 4 pounds away. You paid for 10 pounds of hamburger, you only took home 6. 40% of what we pay on our debt service, give or take, is the interest. That means we don't get to spend that money. Now, if you look at that on what we're proposing to spend money on, that type of debt service causes us to spend about 1/3 more than we otherwise would spend. That means we're going to pay for 2 projects. We're going to pay for 3 projects, but we're only going to get 2 of them. I want us to get that 3rd project. If we increase our debt load to $111 million, which is what the rec center would do, that means like $45 million is going out of the county in interest. Well, $45 million would fix the high school, would build an auxiliary gym, and fix 2 or 3 air conditioners. Let's find a way to keep that $45 million. And I will give you the secret to paying off debt.
Yeah.
Stop going into debt and pay it off. It is no fun whatsoever. You've got to suck it up, and you just got to not do stuff, or you're going to have to delay stuff, and it is not fun. But on the backside, once we get it paid off, it's a lot of fun.
So what is the comprehensive plan that you advise?
Well, first, no more debt, because that's ancient cowboy wisdom. You find yourself in a hole, stop digging. All right? Because we have everything we need to run the county today, and I know that because we're running the county today. Now, it may not be everything we want. It may be old. There might be other things, and there's a lot of problems. But we're going to have to work with that. We pay off the debt we have. We currently have $87 million of debt. If you don't want to get very aggressive, you take $750,000 of our reserve, you use that to pay down the first 4 debts. That money that was going to the first 4 debts now all rolls onto the 5th debt, and then the 6th and the 7th. We can do it in about 11 or 12 years. And I haven't calculated the interest savings on that because I don't have the information to do that. If we wanted to allocate more money to that, because we have about $30 million unallocated in our reserves, we could do that a lot faster. If we got really serious about it, we could probably do it in 6 years. It means we've got to make what we're going to work, what we have work for 6 years. But then it gets interesting. Then instead of $7 million of debt service every year, we have $7 million of savings. Okay, in the first year that's $7 million, in the second year now we're at 14, and the third year at 21. It adds up really quick. And if you look at the majority of the projects the county is talking about doing, they're in the $12, $14 million range. Well, that's about every 20 months. Every 20 months, we could do a $14 million project. Now, if you look at how long it takes to build a $14 million project, it's usually longer than 20 months. We could actually save the money for the project faster than we could build the project. And if you also look at the county, managing one major construction project at a time is probably about right for a county of our size. You start doing 2 or 3 or 4, that's a lot of management.
You've also said that one way you'd like to reduce the county's debt is by limiting the supervisor's borrowing power to $0.
Yes.
You said you'd instead pay for the county's project in cash. How do you plan to do that?
Well, I just gave you the way you pay off the debt.
Right.
Right? So I stole that idea. It's not mine. If you know where it comes from, you know where it comes from. Once you do that, then you have cash. It's the same $7 million. But if you're doing it on debt, for the $7 million, about just under $3 million of that's interest. You're only getting about $4.5 million worth of stuff every year. The rest of it is interest. If you save it and do it for cash, you get $7 million worth of stuff every year. You get the full value of everything that we're paying off. You also build flexibility into the budget when you do that. Okay, because if you've got debt, anybody who's got debt understands this, the first thing in the budget is the debt. You pay that first, no matter what. Because if you don't, they come take your stuff. And life gets really bad after that. If it's cash savings, and let's say something bad happens in the county, a hurricane, a derecho, a major snowstorm, a pandemic, all those have happened inside of your lifespan, okay? 2 or 3 times inside of my lifespan. If something bad happens in the county and economic activity goes down and we have debt, guess what? We pay the debt anyway. We just reach over and crank that property tax knob to wherever we need it, and we pay that debt. If it's savings, right, and we have a really bad year, say, revenue's down like $5 million. What are we going to do? Oh, just over hit the pause button. We're only going to save $2 million this year. I'm sorry, we're going to have to delay the project 6 or 8 months until the problem solves itself. But we don't have to reach out and crank the property tax knob on our citizens who are also going through the same snowstorm, derecho, pandemic, economic downturn.
Why is this the smartest economic policy for Rockbridge?
Well, if you spend $100, would you like to get $100 worth of stuff? Yeah. I mean, would you go down to McDonald's? Now, I don't go to McDonald's. I like my hamburgers. But let's say you want to go down to McDonald's or fast food restaurant of choice, and you're going to order the super duper biggest meal they've got. And once you do that, they're going to bring it out. You're going to throw away the fries. You're going to throw away the drink, throw away half the hamburger. You're not going to do that. I want us to do this for the simple reason, I want all the money. I don't want to give away half the money. Because let's think about what that debt does for the people of Rockbridge County. When we pay interest on a loan, right? We take your money that you went out and worked for, right? We collect it in taxes and we send it somewhere else. It's a transfer of wealth. And it's a transfer of wealth because we're not really disciplined. And we just take your money and give it to somebody else. I don't want to do that. I don't care about them. I care about you. And if you're going to give us $7 million of your tax dollars, I want you to get $7 million worth of stuff. Now, you might have to wait a little bit, but as I think I've showed you, once you solve the debt problem, you don't have to wait very long.
So we've sort of talked about the rec center. Are there other projects you believe the county should pause, scale down, or cancel during this period of time where you're trying to decrease the debt?
Anything that is not a life safety issue, that doesn't absolutely positively have to be done, we would have to figure out how to make things work It might be putting a Band-Aid on it. And it might be, you know, I say 0 is the right number, but it might not work, right? Because it's hard to go cold turkey on some things. But it might be you're borrowing a tiny bit of money until you don't have to borrow any money. But $1 million is better than borrowing $12 million, if you follow what I'm saying. It's like, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Ask anybody that's ever gotten themselves personally out of debt. It's not easy. But once you do it, it gets really, really good. And it actually puts the county on a more sound financial footing. And I also think it's better for a business environment. I mean, think about being an owner of a business. You're trying to look at somewhere where you want to locate your business. Don't think they're not going to look at the financial state of the county. Don't think they're not going to look. It's like, well, is county in debt or not? What's the county's tax rate? How have they done that? Are they well run? Are they financially managed well? Right? Having a broke person for a business partner is not a good idea.
So shifting away from finances a little bit, the noise ordinance has been a really hot topic recently. Do you agree with the board's decision to change the start of quiet time to 10 p.m. From 11 p.m. during weekdays?
This is an interesting question. Do you know why the county gets involved in things like this? I'm sorry, I was a teacher once. I know you're doing the interview, but I'm used to asking questions.
Why?
Well, if everybody's a good neighbor to each other, does the county ever get involved? No, right? If the kids get along, mom and dad don't have to get involved, do they?
Sure.
It's when the kids don't get along that mom and dad gets involved. If people are good neighbors, then the county isn't involved. And I mean, I understand this. I got livestock. They get out sometimes. Sometimes the dog chases a deer. Sometimes things happen that shouldn't happen. My response to that is usually go get the stupid dog, get the cow back in, do whatever you're supposed to do. Then I walk over to my neighbor, it's like, here's 2 steaks, I'm really sorry, you know, and we're friends. And that's how we deal with it. If people are good neighbors to each other, the county doesn't have to be involved. Now, you talk about quiet time, right? You got people in one house or students, you got people in one house that have a job. What time do you get up in the morning?
8:30, 8 a.m.
I get up at 4 a.m., okay? There's a lot of people that get up at 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. and they drive and they go to work. When they come home, they're tired and they got to go to bed because they got to get up in the morning because they have to go to work, because they have to get paid, because they have bills. And if they don't pay the bills, somebody comes and takes their stuff or shuts the power off. Okay, so that's kind of how I see it. The only reason noise ordinance exists is it starts with somebody not being a good neighbor. Now, I also think people are reasonable. You know, my daughter got married recently. We didn't have the party at home, but let's say we did. My daughter comes home. We're going to have a big party. I go to the neighbors. My daughter's getting married. We're going to be a little loud, but it's just tonight. I'm like, great, your daughter's getting married. I'm like, you want to come? No, we don't want to come. You get what I'm saying. Be good neighbors. Then the county doesn't have to be involved. And then it doesn't. But if you're not good neighbors, that's when the county gets involved. And that's when you end up with a situation like that.
So do you agree with the noise ordinance?
Yeah. At some point, again, because that person who lives here that's got to get up in the morning and go to work and their kids have to get up and go to school and do all of those things, they got a life too, right? And in the 5th grade, my father really did tell me that my rights end where the other guy's nose begins. And I don't see as I have a right to keep someone else up just so I can have a party.
What would you say to students who argue that, you know, neighbors near senior off-campus housing chose to live there and thus should understand that late night noise is sort of a part of that neighborhood?
That's an interesting question. Who was there first?
I think
Okay, all right, another.
it depends. It
Okay,
depends
so
on the situation.
another one. You guys have take-home exams, right?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, so let's say you live off campus, you're in a house, you're doing your take-home exam. A long time ago, I used to play the bagpipes. Not very good, but I had fun. I'd like to get back into it again, but let's say I do, and I have a bunch of my friends, like 100 of them over, pipers and drummers, and we decide to practice right in the middle of your take-home exam. Probably not very good for you, is it? Right? And it goes back to that neighbor thing. We all got to live here together. There's only one set of space, and it has to work both ways. And again, I am not familiar with all of the details. I have heard things because I've been here a long time, and if it's once a semester, maybe not a problem. If it's regular, it's a problem for the people that live here. Okay?
Yeah.
And-
Yeah. It's
sorry, I was a student once, but I was an engineer, which meant I had no life.
Oh, well, it's been, I think, an important question that people in the community and, whether a student or a resident have been talking about, and something important to discuss. But my next question is about, you're a farmer, and so are many in Rockbridge. You've said that you'd like to change agriculture regulations to reflect modern farming. What might that look like, and what kind of regulations?
If you look at the way our zoning is written, it presumes that the only thing that you do in an agricultural area is commodity production agriculture. That's what it's written for. I'm going to grow this thing and haul it somewhere and sell it, whether it's a crop or beef or anything like that. If you want to do anything else, there are hoops to jump through, okay? We jumped through a hoop to get a general store on the farm. We wanted to have a restaurant attached to a general store. There was no provision for a restaurant to exist in an agricultural area. So wait a minute, I can grow the food, but I can't cook it and sell it to somebody. Now, 50 years ago, maybe we didn't do that. I don't know. But there are lots of places where that is happening right now today. Very successfully on farm, farm to table, where the table is on the farm. That should be incredibly simple. But we had to get the county zoning ordinance changed to do that. I can grow livestock feed, right? But I can't sell it without a special exception permit. If I want to have a feed store, I got to go through the process of paying money, getting the permits, and all these things. It's like, I'm not saying there shouldn't be rules. I'm saying those rules should be laid out. This is what the rules are. Meet the rules, do it, end of discussion. So it's really simple. And I think that's true in a lot of areas that we see in the county, especially with how people are doing agriculture these days. We have, I had to count, like 7 farmers markets in this county. That should be really easy. We had a farmers market on the property. It's an event permit, doesn't cost any money, but it's paperwork. We have to go, why should I have to get permission for my neighbor to come sell something right along me on my farm? I don't think it should be that way. I think it should be really simple. It's a farm. It grows food. It sells food. It's designed to make food.
How do you think those changes might help farmers in Rockbridge County and the greater community?
If you look at agriculture in a big picture, right? There's a lot of regulations. I went and looked up the Packers and Stockyard Act on the USDA website, and it's like 3 pages of links to all of the regulations, right? It's huge. Those regulations are no problem if you have a giant corporation with an army full of lawyers and accountants. They're really small, really hard if it's just you. regulations kill little things. So if we get them out of the way, people do business, right? So it's like, okay, I can start a business, I can grow the business. But it's really cool because I go out and I make a little bit of money. What do I do with that money? Well, I spend it at the local feed store, I spend it at the local hardware store, I might go out to town, I might spend it at some of the other farmers markets, because it's funny, if you come to the end of our market, I'll walk over and spend $10 at one of the other vendors, and you can just sit there and watch. It's like a Three Stooges episode. That $10 bill goes around, it hits about all of the vendors, because we're all buying stuff from each other. That's economic activity that stays right here. All of the money stays here. And all of us get money, all of us get income, all of us get stuff that we bought. It works very well, and it builds a very strong, resilient community. Now, what happens when there's a pandemic, or a derecho, or any of these other things that disrupt our agricultural system? Well, nothing happens in that farmer's market. It just keeps right on going. It's an incredibly resilient system because the supply chain's only like 10 feet long. It's from me to you. And that benefits us financially. It benefits us in a community way. It benefits us for resilience. So I can't see a single downside to it.
As we wrap up here, I'm curious to know, do you believe that you have the necessary support from the board to implement your ideas?
That's an interesting question. The Board of Supervisors has 5 people. It takes 3 people to decide to do anything. I don't know. I'm an engineer. I brought charts. I didn't pull them out because I'm an engineer. I do charts. I do numbers. I do math. I've had a lot of people tell me, it's like, oh, we can't do that. It'd be too hard. I said, yeah, but what's wrong with my math? We can't do that. It would be too hard. I understand you said it would be hard. I agree it will be hard. What's wrong with my math? I get nothing. It is hard. I've admitted that. But what do you want to do? If you spend $10, do you want $6 worth of stuff or $10 worth of stuff? And I think I've got something, an idea that's better for all the people in the county. And it's just a matter of somebody willing to 2 other people being willing to say, yeah, I'm tired of transferring 40% of our debt service out of the county. It makes us poor. I don't want to do that anymore. And can I convince the other supervisors? I can try. Their constituents can certainly convince them.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about your goals for Rockbridge County?
I want to be left alone. More than anything else, I want to be left alone. And I think that's what most people want. And if we're good neighbors to each other, it's easier for the county to leave us alone. I want my children and my grandchildren to be left alone. You look at these charts that go out all these years, right? You go out this far. Who's going to pay that? When the county takes out a 30-year note, right? It's got a 30-year bond. The people that pay that from year 2 through 18 were not old enough to vote when the county decided they were going to have to pay the tax. The people that pay that from year 19 through 30 don't exist when it was taken out. Their parents haven't met. They haven't gotten married. They haven't even been conceived. The government has figured out a way to tax people that don't exist. That is not what grown-ups do. Grown-ups do not leave problems for their children and grandchildren. Grown-ups leave solutions. We don't leave debt for our kids. We leave a pile of money and a plan. And that's what's important to me. And people say you're a politician now. I said, nope, I have political office. Because do you know the one word a politician will not say?
What?
That's not the word. Try again. Do you know the one word a politician will not say?
Oh, I don't know.
No, that's right. And that's what I'm saying. It's actually not no. It's not yet. It's like we got to change, because what we're leaving for our kids is a mess. And if you look at it, you look at how all this stuff piles on top, on top, on top. It's going to get to the point where it can't pile anymore. And it looks like it's coming really soon. And then something bad happens. Because remember, this has got to work. Not just now when things are reasonably good. It's got to work. Hurricane Helene, you saw what happened to those counties. Well, if Hurricane Helene shows up here next year, we still got to pay the debt. And we're going to do that by taxing families and individuals that just went through that same hurricane. And please don't tell me we're going to count on the federal government, because the federal government ran out of money $38 trillion ago. Having a broke person for a business partner is not a good plan.
Well, thank you for joining me today, Mr. Hart.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Isabella Custard.